Today we're going to be talking about the power of attending meetings. I'm going to tell you a story, okay? What happened to myself when I started going to meetings. One day I go to this meeting, and in my story it goes like this. You know, that day Patrick Bet-David was training, okay? He was training, and he was doing this powerful message. I don't remember exactly what he was training. I don't. But I remember something that he did that day, okay? In that meeting, there was a gentleman visiting into that office that day. And he says, "Gentlemen, over there in the back, can you stand up?" And the gentleman stood up. And he told everybody, "You see that gentleman over there? That gentleman is my father. His name is Gabriel." And he says, "You know what? I retired my dad. He had a lot of heart attacks before, 17 heart attacks before I became financially independent. You know what? That gentleman over there, I wanted to spend more time with him. And I wanted to give him a better life because that person over there risked his life to come into this country. And I'm here," he said. "I'm here in America. I was born in Iran. And my father immigrated. And I'm here because of that gentleman over there. And I want to win because of that person over there." Man, and I was listening to that message, and I started getting emotional hearing to that message. You know why? Because I look at my dad, and I said, man, I wanted the same for my dad. I wanted to do the same for my family. I wanted to be the hero for my family. I wanted to be somebody. I wanted to one day to say the same. You know, one day I'm going to retire my dad, my mom. One day I want to travel the world. One day I want to make a difference. And I don't remember exactly what was the training that day, but I remember that moment when Patrick spoke and he told the story about his dad. And his dad stood up in the back, and I remember the face of Gabriel being so proud of his son. And I was thinking, man, I want to do that. I want to experience that. I want my dad to experience that. I want my dad to travel the world. I want my dad to experience the best food. I want my father and my family to experience the best places on earth. I want them to give the best. They sacrificed so much for me. And my life completely changed. And I decided to go and become better. And I decided from that moment, you know what? I'm never, ever, ever, ever going to miss a meeting. You know what? I don't know what they're going to be training. I don't know. Maybe what they're going to be trained that they already know it. It doesn't matter. I'm never going to miss a meeting. And I'm here talking to you because those 5 minutes changed my life forever. Forever those 5 minutes are going to change my life. It was a meeting. Rodolfo, come on, man. It was really that important? I promise it's that important. You don't know which meeting is going to touch here. That's why you don't know. That's why you don't miss those meetings. That's why you don't miss those days. That's why you don't miss those Tuesdays. You don't miss those Saturdays. You don't miss the big events. You go to every convention. That's why you do that. So, you're going to learn about leadership, annuities, insurance. You're going to learn so many other things. You're going to build relationships. You're going to build friendships. You're going to make new friends. You're going to change. The meetings are going to change your life. But don't forget that it needs to go from here to here. So don't miss any meeting.
Today, I'm going to talk to you about the power of attending meetings. Before you become a leader in this business, you need to become a great student. Then you become a great trainer. Then you become a great mentor. Then you become a great broker. Then you become a great leader. But the meetings is what builds most people. So number one is the environment. You are the average of the 4 or 5 people you hang out with. Income-wise, attitude-wise, energy-wise, leadership-wise. Who are you hanging out with today? When you come to the meetings every single week, you're around successful people that have been in your shoes before. And number 2, I once heard the saying that more is caught than taught. Besides the manual that you're going to have, besides the trainings you're going to go out there and attend to every single week, when you're in the office and you're observing the systems that are happening from the moment you walk in to orientation class, to ABC's class, the way hosting is being done, the way recognition is being done, you know what happens? You're catching everything. You're becoming a student. And you're realizing one day I can do the same thing by watching a system at work right in front of me. From teachings, from leadership, more is caught than taught by showing up to the BOMs. And number 3, motivation. Jim Rohn, one of the greats, says motivation is needed every single day. It's kind of like taking a shower. If you don't take a shower every day, you're going to stink. And there's something called stinking thinking. You need motivation every single day. Most people do not have the discipline to stay motivated, but the moment you attend the meetings, you build a level of discipline where you understand the importance of the books, the self-development, and the motivation. What I've learned is that most people are not self-motivated, but the power of attending meetings builds the discipline that you need to stay motivated. So show up to the meetings, stay motivated, stay inspired, and then build the discipline that it requires for you to stay motivated, whether anyone's around you or not. Number 4, leverage to scale. I once heard from our CEO talking about, would you rather be smart or wise? Imagine when you start a business and you wanted to be everything to everyone, not only the motivator, but the one who's teaching all the classes, the one who's inspiring, the one who's reading the books, the one who's training on orientation, ABC's class, advanced trainings, on the products, on the illustrations. Would you want to be everything to everyone? One thing about business that you learn very quickly is that you have a lot doing a little versus one doing a whole lot. So you leverage to scale. Now you have systems in place, multiple trainers, multiple leaders, and your only job to build your business is to plug it in with new agents, new people going through the filters, getting trained, getting developed. That's now you being wise, not being smart. Number 5 and 6, even though this is the power of attending meetings, this is what happens when you don't attend meetings. There's something called the kiss of death, which is not attending any meetings. Imagine you start a great workout session for 90 days. You're doing a great job. One day it starts to rain, you get lazy, you're like, I don't want to go to the gym, I want to stay in, and that builds a bad habit. You don't go to the gym, you feel bad about not going to the gym, and all of a sudden you never go back. Your routine completely stops. You get uninspired. That's exactly what happens when you miss BOMs. You don't have the motivation, you don't have the inspiration, no one's driving you to show up. You don't show up to one meeting, you don't show up to 2 meetings, all of a sudden you stop showing up, period, and you don't do the business anymore. The kiss of death is missing meetings, so make sure you don't miss any meetings. And number 6, finally, is we call it the 18-month rule. There's a survival period in this business that you got to make sure that you go through it and your team goes through it. No different than most people that attend any kind of college or university for a year, 2 years, 4 years. They get into debt for $100,000 of loans, but for a year or two, they're just trying to figure out what they want to do. There's a survival process in the school system, no different than here as an entrepreneur that typically requires 18 months. Now, you're not investing $100,000, you're investing a couple $100, but this business can make you financially independent. Over here, this system teaches you how to get into debt and work for somebody else. Over here, for a period of 18 months, you're working on your personal development, your mental toughness, how to become an entrepreneur, but there is a survival period. You make it through the first 18 months, you pass survival stage. Let me just tell you, the future looks very bright for you.
Welcome everybody back to one of our videos on the power of attending meetings. I'll tell you that from the pregame, the moment we walked in the room, it was just inspirational. The energy, you walk into the room, the moment you were in the parking lot, man, you hear music, dun, 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 and you're like, dude, I don't know what the heck is going on. Are we at a rave? Is this an insurance meeting? And then you walk in the room and everybody, what's up, man? What's up, blah? What's up, guy down? What's up? What's up? What's up? Like, you're like, are these guys on something? If you've ever seen Fred Terrace, are you on something? And they were on life, man. They were on hope. They were on excitement. And it's completely different environment than when you go to your job. Anywhere I went, nobody ever would like say hi to me. What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing? What? Or they wouldn't even acknowledge. And it's such a culture shock, right? And I'm like, I don't know if these guys are legit, but they were. And it was, you're coming from a job. So people are coming from a job. So the power of a meeting is the moment they get there, you're giving them encouragement because the entire day just sucked the life out of them. They came, but it's different if you have a great job. But most people are in a job where they don't get valued, they don't get paid enough, and they don't get poured into. And so the pregame was right off the bat a message of inspiration. It literally changed the entire. You see people walking in like this, and in pregame their shoulders would come up, and they would get excited. And then the hosting. In terms of, hey, this is what we got going on. Are you going to qualify for this? Who's qualified for this? And you're like, oh, man, I'm not qualified, but I want to qualify. And they would sell the dream about the power of whatever competition, whatever incentive, whatever big event was going. So constantly selling the next meeting, the next Fast Start School, the next TTT, the next big event, the next BOM, whatever the company was running, but also whatever that hierarchy was running, whatever different big shops were running. And And you'd sit there, and then they would say, who's atop this? And you're sitting there, and you're like, oh, man, I want to stand up right now. So the meeting would make you want to perform because you saw people being recognized. Most people are at a job where they don't get recognition. They don't get encouraged. And then the trainings, you were always speaking to a new person. You were always speaking to an agent that was there but maybe wasn't performing. You were speaking to a guy or a girl that was coming up but not fully committed, but they were coming up, they were changing. And then you're speaking to like killers. And so the message of how to craft that message to speak to the entire audience, very, very important. If after the meeting would finish this, oh man, one day we're going to do this, one day. Like that's what the meeting did. It gave hope. It was the emotions that you felt at a meeting. These are some of the emotions: frustration, laughter, hope, competition, fun, unity. It's us against the world, man. They don't get it. They don't understand. They don't understand. I remember my dad would say to me, "Te están lavando el coco." And if you don't know what that means, they're washing your coconut, which in English means they're brainwashing you. And guess what? We are. To go from thinking that you're supposed to make a minimum wage to saying, what's my maximum wage? That you're supposed to work for somebody else. That, man, you can go work for yourself. That you can cut your own paycheck. Another emotion, decisions being made. People should leave your meeting with a decision being made of, I'm recommitting, I'm committing, I'm stopping this, I'm cutting this out of my life. I'm not going to make that excuse anymore. That should be the experience that people get. And the last couple points, leadership development. This is where people come, where duds turn into studs. This is where people get accountability. This is where people learn discipline. This is where people learn to be consistent in their life, because consistency and discipline is not a class that most people take. Most people don't have examples of it in their personal life. The world is full of inconsistent people and undisciplined people. And they say that you're an average of the 5 people you associate yourself with and that are around you, the people above you, below, to the sides and below you, right? That world is always a little bit of a range above or below. But I never had the examples of people that were killing it until I was introduced to PHP, until I was introduced to the insurance industry, until I was introduced to Pat, until I started making meetings a part of my life, a religious part of my life. And this is not my religion, but the business, to make it say, man, I'm so committed to this. See, when you make a decision that you're going to do something big in your life, your decision's going to be tested. Your commitment's going to be tested. And I'm so grateful for Pat that he made that call, because maybe I don't go that route. Maybe I miss a VOM at that moment, and I buy into that. I remember the day that we had an emergency meeting after a big event, the power of a meeting. And I said, Pat, it's my mom's birthday. We were just together for 4 days, 3-4 days. You know, is there any way I could just get the information from somebody else? Listen, this is to see who's in and who's out. This is a filtering system. I'm like, man, but I'm in. I was just there. I was in Vegas. I did this. Sometimes it won't make sense to you. Sometimes this weird thing of having to just make a sacrifice, so that you make the sacrifice and you put yourself in a different energy, and then because you're in that different energy, you're like, man, I'm different, and then we deserve to win, and you increase your ROV, your rate of vibration, your energy, your enthusiasm, and your intensity. But that wouldn't have happened if you didn't go to that meeting and you recreate the cells in your body to be a different version of you. And he says, I can't tell you what decision to make, but I'm sure you'll make the right one for your family. And I remember the day that I told my dad, hey, I'm going to miss mom's birthday. I got to go to this meeting. Because there's going to be inconveniences, because success is never convenient. And he says, what are you talking about, man? You choose these people over your family, the person that gave you life, right? Because we use guilt as a way of trying to persuade when we don't know how to articulate or explain or understand. And we've all done it. We've all done it. This business, these meetings change your life on the way you process things and communicate. And I said, you know what, man, I'm doing this for you guys. And I know you don't understand it right now. And at that moment, by the way, I didn't even understand it. I was resentful that I had to go to this meeting. But at that meeting, I made a decision to purchase 50 tickets to a big event. And we went from 4 people to around 35 people. And that's how Unity was developed. So what if I don't go to that meeting? Maybe we're not here. See, the scary part of our business is you're this close to being super successful, or you're this close to failing, and you could be one meeting away. You could be one meeting away from, man, figured it out, next version of me, or one meeting away from a habit that takes you down a different path. And so the power of a meeting, guys, this isn't just some business. This literally changes people's lives. Maybe that person that goes to that meeting, they're going to be told that somebody believes in them. Pat told me, hey, I believe in you. And outside of my family, nobody in my life had ever told me that before. Not a teacher, not a coach, nobody. The power, I believe in you, those 4 words. And he would speak from stage and he would say, let me tell you what Pelayo's going to do. At that moment, I didn't even know if I could get a prospect, you guys. But he reaffirmed my reason for doing the business, my why. And this is a reminder for myself, this is a reminder for all of us watching this video that one meeting can change a person's life. Don't take it for granted and make the next meeting, whatever that meeting is for you. We'll see you at the next meeting. Take care, everybody.